You're totally right. It is moist. All right, welcome everybody. We are live. This is Bid Nerds. Look, are there deals to be had on Bring a Trailer right now? The market might suggest, but some of the results from listings that we analyzed on the last episode might make you go, I don't know so much. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. That's right, this is a game show. Hello, everybody. My name is John Polnick. We are coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. I have sitting in for my partner, Michael Deeb, in the studio, Andy Stahl on the far side of your screen. How are you tonight, Andy?
Good evening, everyone. I'm having a good time playing Deeb.
You look better than Deeb, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Neither him or I are good-looking fellas, but now this show, this might mess it all up. We got you, and of course, we got the good-looking guy in the middle, Jason Doornick. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
It's good. My name is actually Deeb. Thank you for introducing me.
I'm
the real Deeb.
You're the real Deeb. With a real Deeb, please stand up. I like that. I think Deeb might be in trouble. He needs to look for a new job.
This guy just sees everything through rose-colored glasses.
That's true. All right, fellas. Listen, if you are watching this show and you're new here because you heard Jason's going to be here, thank you for hanging out. What we do on the show is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, sometimes P-Car Market. We make predictions based on our analysis, and we always have the help of our nerd herd in the live view. If you are watching this show live and you're hanging out in the comments group, thank you so much for hanging out and spending your Wednesday evening with us. Make sure if you're watching this live and you haven't introduced yourself over there, do so now. You're going to make some great friends. This is going to be a lot of fun. Jason, are you ready?
I'm cooking, baby.
He's cooking.
Stove
He's so ready. We're ready to get nerdy. All right. Let's see how our good friend Andy Stahl, he's got some big shoes to fill. So everyone give Andy, everybody give him some luck right now. I don't know what you got to do for luck, but let's cheer him on. It's a very difficult job to sit in for Michael Deeb. So what is the first car on the list? Actually, I'll tell you what the first car on the list is.
That works.
That'll make it a little easier for you. We're going to start with a Ferrari 360 challenge car that we talked about on the last episode. Let's talk about the results of that before we get into predictions. Oh, wait, you know what? I do need to say, if you really need some help with your predictions, take a sip of some of these Hippie Sips, man. I swear to God, if you guzzle one of these, you will be so much better at making predictions than any of us, I swear to God. Go to hippiesips.com and get yourself a case today. All right, let's get to that Ferrari. Let's talk about it. What do we got?
Okay, starting off tonight, we have a 2004 Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale, but a 6-speed conversion. You like that pregnant pause. This car comes out of Newbury Park, California from WAB. It has only 11,000 miles, but the big news is the 6-speed manual. That thing is just, the bee's knees. So what day is today? Wednesday. Sunday, we had, I'll give you a little bit more information about it here. It was estimated on classic.com at $262,000. JP and Deeb both went way over that because they recognized the value in a 6-speed manual, row your own gears. JP bid $396 and Deeb took the over at $400. So Jason, knowing what you know now, if you were bidding on this car, where would your number come in?
Well, granted that the 11,000 miles were probably put on driving it to the dealership for maintenance and repair.
True.
I'd say, and coffee and $14 coffee shops. I would say I'm in the low threes with the fact that it's not an original 6-speed. It had conversion work. So I think there's a devaluation that comes with certain cars when you do something that's not original.
So give us a number.
Yeah, low threes. I'll say 315 maybe.
315, good bid. All right, Andy, what actually happened? What was the result?
So quite the contrary with regard to the 6-speed manual conversion. These things are highly desirable because the people that have money like to row our own gears. This thing sold with 47 bids at $493,000. This thing almost hit $500,000. This thing's within one spark plug change on the thing of $500,000. Unbelievable.
That is a huge result. Now we know that some of the 10 of these that were built by the builder, the conversion builder, basically, they've all sold for over 350,000. And we were coming off on this particular listing. It was one of those that was, I think it was for sale just a few months ago, and it failed to sell. It didn't even make 300. So it is a big bump, second bite at the apple, to get it to that almost $400,000. I think the big news here is, and Jason, I think what you said, Ferraris generally, they have that stigma of the people that want them and own them. They have pleated pants. They're very stuffy, and they don't want anything changed. They want it to be as original as it came from the showroom floor. But I think the octogenarios, that's Italian for octogenarians, are on their way out, and we're in the era of the young timers, and young timers don't give a shit. They just don't care. They're like, fine, just make the car better. If the car is a better driving experience, I'll pay the money for it. Jason, I'll give you the last word. What do you think of that result?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by a price point like that. I'm very curious who the buyer was, like you said, to see if that's in support of maybe a millennial or someone who is definitely not would have been considered the original buyer. This is a car that would have belonged to a basketball player or someone who just signed a really good sports contract back in the 90s and early 2000s. This was kind of the hit, in that era. What's the year on the car again?
2004.
And it is a challenge Stradale,
yeah.
too, so it's not just a run-of-the-mill 360.
Yeah, so it's got a special edition. So, but again, like I said, a sports contract lands on your lap. The first thing you think about is getting to the Ferrari dealership and issuing your custom leather wants to Ferrari to get that car made ASAP, so you can show up to work with it.
Those basketball guys, they don't know how to drive a 3-pedal car. They never would have converted it. All right, what do you guys think of the results of that Ferrari? I was pretty surprised by it. Let us know in the comments. And all right, Andy, let's move on to a car that I know you know very well. Let's move on to the SLS.
Yes. So this is a 2012 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Roadster out of Novato, California by Genau Auto Works. 52,000 miles. It's had a bunch of work done to it. What was it, like 32 grand, something like that, work done on it. And the reason why JP says I know about this is about a year ago, I was handling an estate sale here in Vegas, and I had one of these exact cars. I had a Roadster. It didn't have the fancy red interior. I forget how many miles mine had on it, like 11 or 12,000 or something like that. This one, though, has 52,000 miles on it. And we discussed, or you guys discussed last week, if that was going to be a positive because it's a driver's car and people are, not afraid to drive the thing, and he had just put a bunch of money into it. Or since this is so much more miles on it than your average SLS AMG that just sits in the garage and gets wiped down by a baby diaper, that if that was going to hurt the numbers. So this one, Classic.com estimated 138,000. I think the one I sold, being a barn find, not in the best condition, sold for like 135. Deeb came in at 100,000. JP took the under at 96,000. And now we turn it to you, Jason. What do you think of this 2012 SLS AMG Roadster?
Yeah, assuming it's a clean title, assuming that this thing didn't find its way in too many, wasn't abandoned at a yacht club. It probably just passed the 100K mark, especially with the 50,000 mile range. So I'm going to guess 100, maybe 110 on this.
110. This, you would have been closer than JP and Deeb because with 38 bids, this thing sold for $115,000. So $20,000 less than the one that I sold. That was, again, kind of a barn find, dusty, needed new tires and everything, but had a third the miles, something like that. What do you think about them apples, Jason?
Yeah, nice. I hit the nail on the head. I remember seeing this car for the first time. Literally, I was working at a hotel, and I saw one pull up, an original one, and wow, this car definitely made waves. I thought an engine in a car that the 6.3 in a car that size That's a crowd pleaser, if you know what I mean, in the literal term.
With the service that was done on this car, I think that really helped it. The fact that this is 50,000 miles. I mean, you look at a car like this and you go, "That's high miles." That's crazy to me. That to me, being a normie, 50,000 miles to me is just broken in. But Andy, did you know that apparently these are known for having bad transmissions? So this one had the $15,000 transmission update. Or were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't, and I probably should have known that before I drove it around Vegas for a couple weeks. But the thing drives my daily humble brag, or one of my dailies, is an Audi R8 manual transmission. And I thought this is going to be like a Mercedes. It's going to be a little bit more plush, a little more forgiving. This thing driving around with that dual clutch was brutal. I mean, it was like slamming me in the back with every shift, and I was just shocked at how a plush Mercedes would be so aggressive driving it around. So I wonder if it's just the way they tuned the thing, if it self-destructs or something like that. Because this one, $15,000 to have that dual clutch automatic replaced.
Is it a dual clutch on these, or is it a single clutch? Are these far enough along that these actually had dual clutches?
It was a dual clutch.
It is a dual clutch.
It is a 7-speed dual clutch.
That's surprising that it's that clunky, because I know some of the early single clutch ones, you really got to modulate the throttle just like you would a normal transmission. But with the double clutches, you expect to be able to snack through it. All right, what do you guys think of the results of the SLS? Let us know in the comments. And the other cars, let's hear. What else did we talk about on the last episode? Another car that I think Andy knows pretty well is the little Volkswagen. Let's talk about that one.
Oh, this one, the Rabbit GTI, 83 Rabbit GTI, but we're not done yet. Callaway Turbo Stage 2. So, this car, sold by Wob out of Newbury Park, California, with only 19,000 miles shown, was originally built in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, central Pennsylvania. They built the Rabbit GTI in 83 and 84. The 84 was the better one. It had a few little upgrades from the 83. But this one had an aftermarket Callaway Stage 2 turbo kit put on it. And then some poor guy just parked it and didn't drive it, apparently. White with the red velour interior. It only came with red or blue velour interior. The blue one was my favorite, in case you wondered. It matches my eyes. But this one... Let's see here. This one was Classic.com had it at estimate of about $20,000. I don't know how you value a car that there's only, 4 of them or something like that. But it was a Bring a Trailer alumni. In 2020, it sold for $38,000. In 21, believe it or not, $62,000. Deeb and JP both a couple days ago, looking at the current market for cars like this. Deeb came in at $48,000 as his guess. JP went just over at $50,000. And now we turn to you, Jason. What do you think of Volkswagen Rabbit GTIs?
Yeah, I mean this is a rare car, and you definitely don't see something like this with a Callaway turbo on it, unless you're looking to beat Elon Musk to Mars. So my guess is, you said it sold in the 30s and then went up to the 60s. I'd say it's hard to retain a value on a car like this that's been bought and sold so many times. So I'm probably going to put it back in the 30s or 40s. So I'm going to say 39 to 40, maybe a little bit more.
Got to give it a number. Give it a number.
40,000. Let's go. Boom. 40K. Spin the wheel.
40,000.
Let's go, Bob Barker.
Yep.
This guy's doing pretty well tonight. So this car sold on 22 bids at $45,000. So kind of split the difference between where it sold in 20 and where it sold in 21. So whoever bought it in 21 lost a bit of coin, and sadly probably did not get to drive it and enjoy it too much.
Yeah, it's a shame, because this car's got to be an absolute blast to torque steer your way down the road. I doubt you can go. It's going to be impossible to get a 0 to 60 number. How fast does this car accelerate? Because you're never going in a straight line. You hit that accelerator, you're going to be going over here, you're going to be going over there. That's going to pull you in every which direction. I like the SpaceX analogy there. It is a square, so however it lands, it's going to land right side up. So you're good there. What do you think of the result, Jason?
What kind of what kind of reaction are you going to get from somebody if you bring it to a service? You know, let's say you live in the middle of nowhere and your local mechanic sees this car and he's just going to look at you, you know, like he's looking for Waldo. He's just not going to know what to say. He's just going to be like, yeah, good luck.
That's totally true. Even if it's stock, I think it's interesting that you bring that up, Jason, because I think there's Porsche, the VagCom company, you know, you've got Porsche and Volkswagen and Audi. They're all the same company essentially, but Porsche supports their classic owners. If you've got a 70-something 911 or even a 924, you can still get parts for the damn thing. Try getting parts for an 83 Volkswagen. They don't exist. Volkswagen is not supporting their heritage owners and vehicles, and consequently, Volkswagen is suffering horribly. I really question whether or not a Volkswagen as a company is going to exist in a couple of years. They are in dire straits. I can't remember the last time they made anything that anybody wants. They still make the Golf R, but guess what? You can't get it with a manual anymore. I think that's the death nail for Volkswagen. They're making electric, buses. That's just so stupid. Anyways, all right. What do you guys think of the results of the little GTI with 200 horsepower? Was that well bought? Was that a deal to be had? Did someone get a deal saving $17,000 from last time? Or is this just an example of a car that was really somebody paid way too much for it in the first place? Let us know in the comments. What's the next car on the list? Oh, you don't know, Andy. So I got to tell you, it's the little, speaking of cars not supported by their parent company, let's talk about the Datsun.
Ah, yes. The 1972 Datsun 240Z with a 4-speed manual transmission. This one comes to us out of Darien, Wisconsin by Geneva Motor Cars. It shows 97,000 miles on it. It's got the 2.4-liter L24, which I'm sure that means something to someone, inline 6 with a 4-speed manual, lime paint, black vinyl upholstery, and most importantly, this one was restored and sold by the Nissan Vintage Restoration Program, one of an estimated 37 examples purchased by Nissan and restored to what we assume is factory clean or maybe even better condition. So this one, we had, let me find it here. Classic.com estimated it at a paltry $35,000. Again, I feel like they don't consider some of the provenance. JP and Deeb both went crazy about this car. They were into 6 figures. I was watching this the other night like, what are they smoking? But Deeb came in at $108,000. JP very cleverly came in slightly lower at $240,000. And Jason, I'm wondering if you know anything about these old Datsuns, and you have a good guess for us.
You know, I just started exploring the JDM world, and I have been getting familiar with the Fair Ladies and both left-hand and right-hand drive, U.S. market and Japanese market. So I am new to the world. I am naive. I'm a baby when it comes to this. I would say because this was restored by a Nissan restoration branch, I guess. I heard you mention that. So Nissan was behind the restoration, so that's got to add value to this. So my number is going to be sub 100. I think it'd be rare. I'm gonna say 90 or 95. Oh, let's stick with 90.
Jeez, man, this guy.
He's a ringer. He's a ringer.
He is a ringer. Well, you would have a Yahtzee because after 39 bids, it failed to sell at $90,000 even. So good on you, man. So it failed to sell. So I'm wrong on value. So that's what it got bid to.
But the value could be above 100.
The exercise is what will happen as a result of the listing. So we analyzed the listing, and I mean, you got it. You nailed it, literally. Well, I don't know if that's literally. You didn't hit it with a hammer or anything like that. But yes, he did. Oh my gosh, I'm in a conundrum here. Look, this car supported by the factory. That's awesome. That's the kind of thing that I think Volkswagen needs to do. We were just talking about that. But here's Nissan doing it for their classic heritage cars, but they don't make anything cool right now either. So I think Nissan is in just as much trouble, if not more, than Volkswagen. If I think it was Porsche. They had made a 993 turbo back in, I want to say 2018, when not the last Rennsport reunion, but the one previously. So the factory Porsche Classic went in with all the original dies and all the original tooling and built a brand spanking new 993 turbo. It was it was an interesting exercise, and they auctioned it off, and I think they got $1 million, they got a ridiculous amount of money for it, as you can imagine. But the interesting thing is that car will never be road legal in the United States, because if you manufacture a car by the factory, you have to give you got to give at least one to the NTSA so they can crash it and road test and everything. So that car will always be in a museum. But there it is. That car got $1 million something. Here Nissan goes and basically builds or restores one of their Datsuns, and they can't even, just fails to sell at $90,000. Yeah, Jason, I'll give you the last word.
I was just going to say, this is a realm I'm very familiar with because I specialize in going around the world sourcing vintage cars, namely 4x4s, but having to work with so many import laws, and I'm sure many of you know this, you guys both probably know this, so apologies if this is repetitive, but to our audience members watching now, a car that's anything older than 25 years can enter the United States without having to meet NTSA, EPA, DOT standards. It does need to possess a title and have 4 wheels and its original drivetrain in it.
Now that's if it's a
after
restored
25 years
car.
it can.
Yeah, after 20 years it can be restored. The 993 that I was talking about specifically was not a restored car. That was a built from scratch, brand new manufactured car. They didn't take a 98 and rebuild it. So that's where that one kind of fell in. But you're right, and I think that's great information. It's definitely bears repeating. A lot of people are talking about trying to buy cars out of Europe because their market is definitely softer than ours, but there's still all the tariff stuff. Same thing with Canada, but country of origin makes a big difference. You know anything about that, Jason? I think if it's Germany, if the country of origin is Germany, I don't think there's nearly as big a tariff. Is that true?
So the tariff remains the same. It doesn't matter where the car comes from right now. We're importing about, I want to comfortably say, maybe around 25 cars, 30 cars a year. Again, mostly Land Rover Defenders, Land Cruisers, things like that. Because Trump issued this tariff, we've noticed that we've received the same sort of tax slap, which is 25% now. This chicken tax of 25%. Before, we're going years back, it was 2.5% on declared value. So when we were buying our cars, we were taking advantage, as you just said, the soft market, as I like to call it, the market arbitrage, and buying our cars overseas for 10, 15, 20,000, a Defender, euros, which it comes out to be, let's say, 22,000 US dollars. So we write down 22,000, we're paying 2.5% on that. Now we're paying 25% of that. So it doesn't matter if it comes from Germany. We've sourced from Germany, Italy, UK, Spain, France. They're all the same. 25% tariff.
That's got to take a big bite out of doing that business. All right. Hey, guys, good information. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, and notification button. And also, you know what? We're going to get to predictions here. We've got one more car to talk about before we get to the predictions. The last car before we get to predictions is the Cayenne. Let's talk about that really quick. Jason is into off-roaders. Maybe this is something he knows a little bit about.
Let's find out. We have a 2008 Porsche Cayenne S. It is out of Charlotte, North Carolina by a seller called Change Driven. It shows 99,000 miles on it. It's got the 4.8 V8, very bulletproof motor, 6-speed automatic, and all the fun stuff. But what makes this one different and interesting is it's set up as, would you call this an overlander, JP?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it for sure.
Yeah, so you got the Brahma bar on the front and the skid plate on the bottom and the jacked up suspension and the gnarly tires and the roof rack and all that fun stuff. So this one shows 99,000 miles being sold again in North Kakalaki. Accident-free Carfax and all that good stuff.
North Kakalaki.
Yeah, you heard that right.
I haven't. No, bring me in on the inside joke so I can be your friend.
I think wasn't it a rapper? This was like a rap guy.
Oh no,
said
we're
something
not
about
doing
North
this.
Kakalaki.
Three
right?
white guys going to talk about Kakalaki. I think, yeah. Let's stay in the dirt. All right.
Okay. So Classic.com had this car. Their estimate was about 17 grand, just based on the mileage and the age and all that. They, took a depreciation hit. Plus, this one's got some mods, whether or not you like them. JP and Deeb were pretty darn close to each other. Deeb was at $18,000 with his guess. JP came in just under at $16,000. Again, $958. Jason, what do you think of Overlander Cayenne S?
They're becoming popular. I hope you don't mind that I chime in with a couple opinions of mine before I give you an evaluation.
Please.
Stop me if I go too far. But the Cayennes, the Discoveries, the Gen 1 and Gen 2 Discoveries, and the Cayennes, the SUVs that were almost just at the brink of crossing over from analog to digital. And the Cayenne is mostly digital. It had that infotainment, entertainment screen in the center console. It had, options between the Titanium Edition. You had the Cayenne S, you had the Turbo, you had the GTS. So, these are regaining popularity because people are finding ways to modify them and just beat the crap out of them, because overall, you can pretty much buy these in any state in the U.S. right now for $5,000. You could buy a simple low to high mileage, like 80 to 110,000 mile Cayenne for 5, 10, 15 grand, in that range. And you can deck them out pretty affordably. So this is like an at-home project for a lot of people who are interested in owning some form of luxurious off-roader. And there is a statement to be made by owning a car that once cost a 90-year-old dentist 80 grand, and or 100,000 in US with inflation costs, especially this model. So with these modifications, those rims, the ripped off rear bumper, it's got water in the taillights. I'm going to say, as cool as it looks, it probably didn't break 18 grand. I'm going to say 15, 16.
Give us a number. You got to give us one number. That's
Yeah,
the show.
15,
you can't give two
15,000.
numbers. Oh, come on, man.
Jeez, this guy's on fire. On fuego. This car
Fuego.
sold. I'm dropping all kinds of language tonight. This car sold with 9 bids at $15,250. You were $250 off a Yahtzee. Good on you, man. And I'll tell you, to your point, my Boxster is a 2008. The build quality I am extremely pleased with. I've got like 70, 80,000 miles on the thing. So I can only imagine an 08 Cayenne is got to be similar build quality, despite coming out of Hungary. Weren't these built in Hungary, if I remember right? But yeah, this you're spot on, man. I like you. I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Man, I was hoping this one would do a little better because I own basically the copy of this Cayenne. That's why I chose it for the show last week. I have the 6-cylinder version, which in my opinion is the better vehicle or the better powertrain for off-roading and just owning in general, just because they're so much cheaper to maintain. As an example, high pressure fuel pump on the V8 is going to cost you about $3,000, whereas the high pressure fuel pump on the 6-cylinder version is about $600. So that makes a big difference when you're beating the crap out of one of these. You're absolutely right, Jason. You can go out and buy a stock one for $6,000, $5,000, whatever. Yeah, I'm genuinely thinking of selling mine because, I have the same Eurowise kit, the same front bumper, same roof rack. I have the skid plates and the rocker bars and all that stuff. And it is so much fun. But I kind of feel like I need to cash out because it's just, people are still paying 15 grand for this.
That's the thing. That's the thing is, they're not going to skyrocket in value until enough of these disappear from people that build them and wreck them and start putting these in YouTube videos of them shooting the car with a cannon and showing how long this thing could last, with its doors off and scaling a mountain in the middle of winter. But once these become more scarce, the value will skyrocket. Once that market starts to shrink, you'll see the original Cayennes guaranteed, just like history has shown us. Guaranteed, people will want a nice, clean, original Cayenne, they'll consider that a classic car 10 years from now, and a Cayenne will not be bought for less than 20 grand.
Yeah, I mean, you've already seen that happen with the manual versions of them. I mean, those are like, we literally have seen those in the 50, 60,000. The second gen one even went for 100. I mean, it's crazy how much those are going for. So, all right.
Well, JP, you've said that the manuals drive like a car, right? So do you think there's any value in like the 2004 Ferrari that we just talked about that has a manual swap? Do you think there's value in doing a manual conversion for some of these Cayennes?
No, because you can't source that transmission. That's a hard transmission to find. That and just, getting it to talk to the brain in this era, that's a very difficult challenge. Or at least it would be a very expensive challenge. I don't think that I don't know. Find a manual transmission. I don't know where you would find even source that.
Just in the GTS, or was it also in the 6-cylinder?
They did it in the GTS and the 6-cylinder. The GTS version definitely drives. Those are amazing driver cars. They're like driving a big M5, especially if they have the PDCC. But if it's the 6-cylinder, they're not great, but they're just they belay the weight. That's the problem with Cayennes. They're very heavy, and with the 6-cylinder, they definitely feel sluggish with the Tiptronic. But having the 3 pedals, it gives it a little bit more whip to it, a little bit more fun. But whatever. That's way more information than people want to talk about boring old Cayennes. If you want one just like that one, DM me. I've got one that's going to be for sale. All right, everybody stick around. We are just getting started. We've got new predictions right after this.
Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
All right, Andy, I am looking at my Aviera Our Smiths watch right here, and you know what time it is? It's time for predictions, but before that, you got to get yourself a can of Hippie Sips. This stuff is so good. This will definitely make you the best bidder. This is like Yahtzee in a can right here. You drink one of these, you're going to bid just like Jason over here, getting $250 away from nailing it. Look, if you haven't tried one of these Hippie Sips, look, to be honest, this is a THC drink. They are, but on top of the THC, they're just really good. They're organic, like all the fruit juices and everything. I mean, they just taste great, and they make really good mixers. You got to go to hippiesips.com to see if you can get them in your state, because, of course, with THC, they're not available everywhere. Check hippiesips.com and see if you can get yourself a case. Here's what I want you guys to do. The Nerd Herd, just go to hippiesips.com. Right now, just if you've got a phone in front of you or if you got a computer, just go there. You don't have to order anything. Just go to the website so that the good friends over at Hippie Sips know that people are watching and checking them out. All right. It is time for predictions. Guys, in the Nerd Herd, another little mission I'm going to give everyone tonight is for every car that we talk about, if you guys could go to that listing and say that you saw the car on Bid Nerds. I've got all the links listed in the descriptions below, so you can kind of look at the pictures. If I click through the pictures too quickly for you, relax. You can just go look at the pictures at your own pace because I've got the links in the description below. All right, let's get after it. Andy, we are going to start with the big car of the week, the Sharkworks 997 GT2. Have a look at this, guys.
2008 Porsche 911 GT2 is styled by Magnus Walker. This one comes to us out of, again, North Kakalaki by 246 Dino guy. It shows 60,000 miles on it. It's got a twin turbo 3.6 flat six. I mean, just the specs on this thing are just out of this world. 6-speed manual, limited slip diff. It's got the orange bumpers. I mean, it's just a beautiful vehicle. This one, let me find it here. The Sharkworks, this one, classic.com has an estimate of value of about $266,000. It sits right now at $252,000, and the bidding ends tomorrow. So we've got less than a day left on it.
So, Andy, and we need to make sure that we mention when we talk about the classic.com number, they probably don't have a classification for a Sharkworks version. So that 200 and whatever number is for call it a stock GT2. Saying stock next to GT2 just doesn't really ring. It just doesn't sound right because GT2s are amazing out of the box. And this particular car, being a Sharkworks car, I have seen this exact car. It's interesting that we talked about Rennsport reunion in 2018 earlier in the show. I saw this car at Rennsport, driven by good old Magnus himself. He was at Laguna Seca looking cool in this thing, and they were showing it off. And this car is spectacular in person. GT2s in general are amazing cars. Add the Sharkworks goodies and all the extra power. I have personally driven GT2 RSs of the 997 variant, and it is one of my favorite cars of all time. It's probably the most terrifying car I've ever driven. But I have not driven one of these Sharkworks versions. But just looking at the specs, it appears that the specs on this thing are even more aggressive than a GT2 RS. I feel like getting this car would be like getting a GT2 RS plus. Jason, what do you think of this car? And we're not ready for a bid, but what do you think of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely doing great on the market right now. One thing I want to say is that when I look at cars like this, I don't get as excited as I do for vintage cars. But one thing I do want to give props to is that I understand on the back end and on the front end what it takes to get a car in the shop and tear it apart and build something up like this from the ground up. And people have their opinions about this car because it has different colored fenders and bumpers and sorts of eclecticness that you would expect from Magnus Walker, a British-born Porsche cult icon. I remember meeting him, and I just immediately started growing dreadlocks out of my butt. But it's a very cool-looking car. It's definitely in line with his theme, and I think it deserves, if it's built as well as it should be, I think that car should break 300. No problem to 350, and
we'll give
and
you
more.
a chance.
I mean, to the sky.
We'll give you a chance to actually bid on it last. Andy, let's get to it. What do you think it's going to sell for? What does Deeb say? I know he left some comments in the notes.
Yeah. Deeb was very bullish on this car. He agreed with Jason that it would crest 300,000. His bid was $326,000, which I can't knock him for that. I don't know how much it matters that this thing has 60,000 miles on it. JP, do you think that makes a difference for a car that's been modified like this?
It does. It really does. Because look, usually it's, we talked about how stingy or how kind of stuck up Ferrari owners are and how much the older generation really clutches their pearls at modifying cars. Magnus has really kind of made it okay for Porsche people to kind of loosen up a little bit and realize that not everything has to be the way it was from the factory. I think if this particular car had lower miles, if it was under 30,000 miles, this is a 400,000 plus car, because GT2 RSs, we haven't seen very many GT2s or GT2 RSs in the 997 variant for sale at all in the last few years. The last time I think one sold was a GT2 RS, and that thing did $750,000. Now that was at the height of the market when everybody was crazy, but still, GT2 RSs in the 997, that's a one of, call it 500 cars, and people are going to pay through the nose for those numbered cars. This essentially is, I think there's only 2 or 3 of them that were built like this. So this is, call it a one of 3. This is a much more rare car, and I think the Magnus brand will appreciate the value of this car at the end of the day. But I do think, yes, Andy, the miles will absolutely hurt it. I'm going to give a bid at $300,997. No, I'm trying to go 3997 and then however many zeros that would be for 6 digits. What do you think, Andy? And then we'll give Jason the last bid.
So wait, $399,700?
Thank you very much for mathing for me.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was, the mileage again, I'm going to go at 320 on this one.
Well, where's it at now? What's it at now?
At the moment, it is at 252.
Okay, so it's still got a
less
ways
than-
to, yeah.
Yeah, with 15 hours left. So yeah, I'm going to be a little bearish on this one and say 320 again. I appreciate the Magnus Walker tie-in, and there's even video and pictures of him in the thing. But I'm going to be bearish and say 320 on this one. Jason, time for your number.
Yeah, Magnus Walker, so long as he maintains in the next half a day, maintains his name and doesn't do anything foolish. And
What, you think he's going to show up on the Epstein list? What's he going to do?
Yeah, show up
He's
on the
already
Epstein
crashed
list or
into
just-
a car with a journalist while he was doing it. What could he do to wreck his reputation in a day? I like it.
Yeah, so long as his reputation stays where it's at. Let me just put it that way. I think actually the car will. I think because the number is where it's at, I think people are going to look at it as like a math equation, or they're going to look at it in round numbers, and they're going to say nobody's going to want to pay more than 300. So my number is going to be 300,000. Once it hits 300, people are going to say, all right, I'm out.
All right, that's
Fair
his
enough.
number. All right, what do you guys think this car will bring? The nerd herd is all over the place. We have bids as low as 295 in the nerd herd. Let's see, who said 295? That was Shiny Fenders. Actually, Randy is at 291,000. But then we've got some hitters. Okay, Tasso's up there like me at 425. So, this is anybody's guess. GT2 RSs are rare birds. I'm excited to see what the result will be, but you'll have to tune in on Sunday to find out. All right, what's the next car on the list? Oh, you don't know, Andy? I will tell you. We're going to talk about another Ferrari.
The 1998 Ferrari F355
Correcto.
GTS with another 6-speed conversion. I'm sensing a trend. So this car comes to us out of Newport Beach, California by Silver Arrow Cars Limited. It shows 21,000 miles on it. It's got that aforementioned 6-speed manual transmission, limited slip, blue Tour de France paint, which I thought was a bike race, not a car race, Bordeaux Connolly leather upholstery, and the manual transmission conversion was performed under previous ownership. So we know at least 2 people have rode this one's gears. Carbon fiber sports seats. A Sony CD player. Make a note. That's going to add some value to it. And again, $21,000 being sold with no reserve, clean, accident-free Carfax report, and a clean Montana title. Do we want to talk about Montana?
Well, here's what we are going to talk about. This car has, look, everything that Andy said is true. That's what the listing says. However, this car, if you open up the trunk, it is full to the brim of drama. It was discovered in the comments. Someone did an auto check, not a Carfax, but someone independently performed an auto check and found that this car had a salvage on the title at some point, call it in the early aughts or something. Wow, look at those seats. Those are pretty impressive with the carbon backs. So it was uncovered that this car had some kind of crazy history. And so that was talked about at length in the comments. It appears that the selling dealership or the dealership that's representing the car was unaware of this, and it does appear that they were acting in good faith. They went through and did their own research over the course of days, and they were able to discover that it was a clerical error and that it was cleared up. Apparently, this was on the Carfax at some point, at one point. So Carfax already had it noted that this had happened. So it turns out there was not actually any salvage damage. Now, add to that, this car was repoed in 2024, and no one seems to be asking about that. So I don't know what the hell is going on. I always thought that repos showed up on Carfax as a brand. If you look at so some people are speculating that that the previous owner washed the title through Montana. So anyway you look at this, there's drama, there's craziness going on. What do you think of all that? How does that affect the value of the car, Jason?
Yeah, branding is a difficult thing, man. I mean, even the fact that the word was mentioned in the comments is already going to just be a ghost and spook a bunch of people away. It sure as heck has done that to me in the past. The second I hear salvage title, the only time salvage title is to your advantage is if you're looking in your driveway, you don't see a car, and you want something cool, so you go look at Facebook Marketplace out in Detroit and find a crashed Mustang GT that's been rebuilt and buy it for $8,000 and have yourself a 400 horsepower car that you can also then crash and then rebuild and put back together. So yeah, the fact that salvage title was thrown around scares me. I mean, this is probably still a high to mid 100s, $120,000 to $160,000 car with, as it sits now, even with the so-called brand from repossession. I don't know much about repos and how they affect titles. I didn't know that the finances behind cars can affect title history or I guess Carfax history.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that if it was repoed, you never really know how it was repoed. If the car were in a driveway or in a garage or something like that, some repo tow truck guy, some grimy guy could just roll up to this thing and put a dolly on the front wheels and, tow it out of there and drag the rear axles that have the e-brake on. Or if it were an F1 transmission, oh my God, that would just ruin it.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of ways that you can F up a car using a tow truck, and we all know that let's face it, repo tow truck guys aren't exactly looking at vehicles and go, oh, how do I make sure I'm the most delicate? How do I approach this tow to make sure that I don't damage the car? They don't give a fuck. They just want their $1,000 or whatever the bounty is to get that car out of there. Yeah, I'm with you. This car, it's you never want a car with stories. The thing about owning something like this is that it's fine as long if you're like, okay, it probably is okay. Well, you're going to have to tell this story one day when you go sell it. With that said, Andy, what did Deeb think this thing is worth, and what did Classic and let's get to some bids. What do you think happened?
So Classic.com had it. They can't consider the fact that it's got the 6-speed manual, but they had it at $143,000. Deeb came in at $186. I should note that it is currently at $166 on 10 bids with 17 hours left to go. So even though, Jason, I agree with you, the fact that it has a repo and I'd be worrying about the grimy tow truck driver and all that, there's 10 people or 10 bidders or 10 bids out there that they've brought it up to 166 despite that. I'm going to reminisce about the 2004 Ferrari we talked about earlier that sold for a huge amount, and I'm going to guess that this one's going to hit $200,000. Jason, or JP, did you give me a number yet?
Not yet. That's a tough bid to bid against because will this thing break 200? We've seen conversion. We've seen real 6-speed 355s bring into the 2.5 range. So one that's converted should bring as much. This is a really cool colorway. But I think that little story is going to hurt it. I'm going to go, I'm going to go over. I'm going to go $200,355. So I'm going to go $355 over you, Andy, and Jason, give you the last bid. What do you think?
I think just like the Magnus Walker car, I think I'm a little I'm a little curious to see if somebody's actually willing to bid above the $200,000 mark. And this is purely based on gut feeling. I'm not even running statistics on this exact model that I've seen sold previously. Yeah, it's an iconic car. I'm sure somebody's going to want it. There's the crude expression, there's an ass for every seat, but I believe that this car is going to sit probably tightly knit at $200K.
So, but that's the same bid as Andy, so you got to pick a number that's slightly different from him.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the prices right. $199,999.
Boom, dollar under. Man, Andy, your spread sucks. You got $1 one way
I know,
and
right?
$355 the other way.
I know.
There it is. All right, what do you guys think of the Ferrari? How much will it bring? Will the story hurt the ending of this would-be fairy tale? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on to some more cars. We've still got a little time left in the show, and we got 3 more cars to cover. Oh my gosh, let's get to this Porsche, this Targa really quick, see if we can get through that one fairly quick.
Sure. This one is a 1985 Porsche 911 Targa found on Cars and Bids. It's got 42,800 miles. One owner since 1987. I wasn't even driving in 1987. 5-speed manual. Let's see what else we got going on here. This one comes to us out of San Diego, California, which we know what that means. Of course, it's the Targa, which is highly desirable. And let's see. A classic.com estimate for this one is about $66,000. If I could find what the current bid is, right now it's actually at $66,000 with about 15 hours left on it on 18 bids. This is an interesting car. JP, you know much more about these than I do. You want to chime in?
Yeah, and not only do I mean, look, I know this specific car pretty well. Our good friend Chris Carmine is selling this car. This car was at Idaho Air and Coffee, the Curious Office Kelly Smith event up there that Our Smiths was one of the sponsors for. We had a great time when we visited up there last spring. And I got the chance to drive a bunch of really nice Porsches when I was up there. Call it more than a half dozen. And I got to tell you, I got to drive this car Sunday morning for coffee before wound up taking off to the airport. And it was the highlight of the trip. This car is as nice as they come. It's the 915 transmission in the 3.2 Carrera. A lot of people prefer the 950, the G50, 950, the G50 transmission is in the 87 and up. But look, the 915, when it's right, is every bit as good as a G50. And this car it shifts like butter. The Stuttgart Market letter wrote up this car. I mean, it's really low miles too. This thing is about as original as it gets. This is about as good this is the kind of Porsche experience you want. You want to get in something like this, remove the roof, go get coffee, and just cruise on a back road. I'm not going to get to the bids just yet, but the Stuttgart Market letter did think that this car should come in between somewhere, I think around $88,000 to $100,000. So this is definitely not your run-of-the-mill classic.com car. Targa 911, guards red on black. Jason, what do you think of this car?
Love it. I actually have experience with one. I had a best friend of mine growing up. His father is part of the reason why I have interest in cars. He took me to go buy this car about 20 years ago. He bought it from the original owner. Not this specific car, but he had the same one, black on black, manual, and he had it completely restored, stored in his garage. And he just sold it on Bring a Trailer, and he sold it for $87,000. Had 21,000 original miles. It should have gone for a little bit more, but the car did need some paint work. So I think that affected the price. Based on what I'm seeing here, I'm going to say it's going to go for the high 80s. So my number is going to be.
We'll give you the last
89.
bid. We'll give you the last bid. You get to go last. That's the best position.
Right. Yep,
so
sorry.
Andy, what does Deeb think? And let's get to some numbers.
Deeb was bullish on this one. He said 85,000 on it. Okay. I'll jump in. I have a huge thing for provenance. I love when the car's not been passed around. Someone bought this 2 years old and has loved it since then. I'm going in at 94,000 on this one.
Randy up there in Idaho, part of the Spud Syndicate, is accusing me of stealing his bids. I had a number in my head, and here it is, 90,911. You scum bum. That was the number I was going to pick. You're cheating off of me, buddy.
Get out of his head.
Numbers.
Get out of his head.
Because I can't use Randy's number, I'm going to go 90,915 for the transmission. That's how I'll be cute. All right, here it is. You get a second bite at the apple. Jason, what's your number?
Now that I hear all these numbers, you're making me second guess my original assessment.
See, that's why last position is best. It's like poker.
Yeah, totally. Why don't we go for a lucky $91,911? There we go.
Boom. Nice work. That's how you play the game. All right, that is a fantastic car. Good luck to you, Chris Carmine, on that one. All right, let's see how much time we got left. We don't have a whole lot of time. Let's do the Toyota really quick. Let's do a speed round on the Toyota.
Speed round. 1977 Toyota Celica GT 5-speed comes to us out of Phoenix, Arizona. Nice dry area. By Holland 85086, some random seller. 56,000 miles shown. 5-speed manual. Purchased new in Tacoma, Washington. I'm looking for any other 56,000 miles. Original purchase documents, factory books, 2 keys, etc. Classic.com has this one estimated at $19,000. It is currently at $19,333, but with 2 days left.
Wow.
So, Jason, do you have any?
Actually, let's just get the numbers. What does Deeb think?
Deeb is at. Look my numbers here. Deeb's at 25,000. He's a little bit bullish on this one. I'll come in a little bit less than this, having known nothing about the car. I'm going to say $20,000 on it, and pass it to JP.
Yeah, I mean, this car, everybody in high school had one of these when I was going to high school in the 80s, and I hated them. Looking at this one, it really does bring me back. The funny thing about these two, or this one in particular, 56,000 miles, no air conditioning, and it's in Arizona. This guy was not getting laid in high school if he had a car with no AC in Arizona. But maybe the car spent most of its life up in Tacoma. I'm going to go up there with Deeb. I'm going to say 24 grand and hand it off to Jason. What do you think?
Well, legend has it that the man who designed this car left a crack pipe in every model that came off the showroom floor, because that's what he wanted to be associated with, because I don't find this model interesting or unique. I mean, it's not setting records at Nuremberg, and it sure as heck is not winning. I will say it's got the 20R engine in it. I know
it's reliable, right?
Quick. It's got very reliable engine. The 20R is a very good engine. The 840 Celica body. It's got the GT trim.
Vinyl seats.
I'm going to say.
Are those hubcaps, or are those actually wire wheels? Look at those things. Holy cow. Could you imagine like cleaning that shit?
But I will say it's got Mustang influence. You can't deny that. The 6 slit taillights on the back. So I'm going to give the number 20,500, because, to be honest, as much as I don't like this car and the bumperettes around it that remind me of a pack of cigarettes and a Coors Light, this car is hard to find in good shape. And there are collectors out there that will pay probably more for a nice Survivor, but 20,500 on a 5-speed Celica seems good.
Why not?
Fair enough.
Right. I love the idea of a crack pipe, or maybe a Coors Light. I don't know, Coors Light, crack pipe. I guess I'm picking the Coors Light. But really, if I got to choose one, I'm having some Hippie Sips, man. Crack open the Hippie Sips. All right, here it is.
Why didn't you guys mail
vehicle.
some to me?
What's that? We are sending you some Hippie Sips. What state are you in? That's happening.
In Connecticut.
That is happening. You can put a straw.
I would have
in your
held it
gas
up.
mask
I would
there.
have, I would have poured it into a bottle and sipped it with my pinky up.
Poor planning on our part. All right, real quick, last vehicle. Let's try to do this one in under 2 minutes, Andy.
Vehicle is stretching it.
Yeah, this is something we've covered a lot of cars on this show over the years. We have never ever covered one of these. What the hell am I talking about?
I don't even know where to begin. This is a Leyland Chieftan battle tank out of Taft, California. How are you even allowed to have a tank in California? It doesn't have a year. It shows 1,600 miles. I would have thought they would have shown this in hours or something. Vertically opposed 6-cylinder something or other, semi-automatic transmission. But did I mention it's a tank? Rotating turret, headlights. I mean, it's a tank. So there's obviously no estimate as to what this thing is worth. It's currently bid up to $101,000 with 14 hours left. Has a lot of comments. And I'm going to turn it over to Jason and see if he knows anything about these things.
Yeah, he's an off-road guy. What do we got?
Yeah, I'm an off-road guy. I don't know how many times I've taken up a tank off the road, but it's an FV 420. If I remember correctly, these were built from the 60s into the 90s based on some of the metalwork that I'm seeing fabricated on it.
Yeah, it is a 1960, by the way, just to be clear.
Oh, so it is a 1960. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I mean, these the generation before this was predominantly used in World War II, and these became very successful, and really were used predominantly in the UK. They were sent out, all over the world, of course. The Chieftan was actually part of a cruiser line, and it was also carried there was a truck that was made very specifically to carry this exact line of tanks, the cruiser lines, and it was called the Thornycroft Antar. You can look it up, Thornycroft Antar, and it was a massive, like 55-foot long trailer that would carry 1 or 2 of these at a time, and you can imagine the weight it had to pull. So that's this quick little recap on some info and some history on these things.
Well, we should have led with this one. Hot
Right.
damn, we got a guest that knew something about a tank. All right, what's it going to bring? What's Deeb thinking? Let's go.
So again, 14 hours left. It's currently at 101,000. Deeb is as bullish as he's been all day at $250,000. I cannot imagine it's going to go up that much in the next 14 hours. I'll give it 120 because of the Haynes manual that's included with the sale. I thought that was hilarious. And pass it to JP.
Yeah, why not? John Wick might be bidding. I'll go 150 and hand it to Jason, who actually knows what it is.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably salivating at the glands and definitely looking to get this for True Lies 2, a sequel. Well, yeah, we should call it True Lies Telling the Truth. I'm going to say 150, 152.
152.
And that's just arbitrary.
There
fun.
it is. Yeah, I mean,
It's
we're all kind of
recorded.
pulling numbers out of our butt on
It's
this
done.
one. There's a thing here in northern Arizona called the Big. What the heck is it called? The Big Shine or something like that. There's a big Class 3 festival out in the desert where everyone brings their tanks and cannons and machine guns. Super. I'll put a link in it for below, and I'll see if I can find it. Super fun. This would be awesome to have out there. All right, who the hell cares about tanks? Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We love you guys in the Nerd Herd. Jason, thank you for hanging out on the show. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
I don't know. I just want everyone to stay moist. Have a great life.
There it is.
Exercise free will. Have fun.
Hippie Sips is good for that. Andy, you did a great job sitting in for Deeb. He's
Thanks,
fired.
man.